Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this Chaos Zero Nightmare video. So for today's Chaos Zero Nightmare video, we're gonna talk about the meta builds as well as the things to farm for the Selena, Sereniel as well as Cassius build for Great Rift. So personally for Great Rift team number 1, any team that's able to burst the boss within 5 turns will secure you the maximum damage as well as the 5-turn transfer to the second fight so that you're able to maximize your damage there. Because for the first fight, it doesn't matter whether or not you finish the boss fight in 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turn, 4 turn or 5 turns, because the maximum score is only about 151k. So as long as you finish it in 5 turns, you have the maximum turn transfer to the rearguard battle. That's more than sufficient. So for the first team, just use your strongest team, use your Rin team, your Treza, Mika team, or even your Maylin Veronica team in general. So that's for the first fight. Now for the second fight, right? The reason why Selena, Sereniel as well as Cassius, they are insanely good is because number 1, the boss's combat mechanics right here buffs up the damage amount of instinct as well as void cards. And Sereniel has this really good kit that ravage the boss really easily, which allows you to reduce the cost of the counterfeit card generated by the boss. So Sereniel does a lot of damage on her own. The mechanic of the boss buffs up her damage output, and Cassius being a semi-DPS draw as well as filter support is a good addition to the team because usually Cassius kit will be 1 dice trick. So the reason why you can only run 1 dice trick is because there's this debuff over here. So for the rearguard battle, when the battle begins, all but 1 copy of upgrade cards with the same name will be removed. So you'll not be able to have duplicated copies of upgrade card. So just 1 copy of dice trick, but being able to generate 2 cards from the Popeye Popper quest every single turn with all the laser output from Sereniel is just really good. Even at just 2 copy, because you're able to heal, you're able to draw, you're able to do additional damage with those quest cards that you generated. You're also able to buff up your morale or resolve, which is something that you want to look out for because that's a massive boost with the multiple missile shooting from Sereniel right here. So that's with regards to Cassius. For his build, pretty straightforward. Dice trick 1 copy, Popeye Popper 1 copy. And then if you're playing the discard variant, then you want to look for some discard mechanic from Shuffle, Devil Die, as well as the other support cards right here. So for the equipment side, I think Cassius will still be looking for Psionic Combat Suit. So the reason why Psionic Combat Suit is used in a lot of the top players' team is because when a card is exhausted, you get this 30% fixed shield, which can take out some damage or shield some damage from the team during the boss fight, because the boss starts to hit really hard towards the last few turns. So this additional sustain helps you to survive better, to jam in more damage. So Psionic Combat Suit, or even the shoe that allows you to get the shield when you ravage the opponent, really good stuff. So there's this shoe which I can't find right now, but I think Psionic Suit is obviously the better choice. So if you take a look at most of the top players in general, let's just go to top 100. Okay, we'll talk about top 1 later. So if you take a look at all the top 100 guys, they mostly will have some sort of defensive armor that gives you HP regen, or even your Psionic Suit that gives you shield. So this will just ensure that you're able to survive. So you can obviously build in some heals in Cassius with some forbidden cards, or even some heal cards if you want to. But generally speaking, the more important things to look out for will be the choose 1 quest for Popeye Popper, as well as 1 copy of Dice Trick. So that's with regards to Cassius deck in general. So for the equipment, any card that buffs up 0 cost is good. So because like he's a semi-DPS in the team. So your W52, because he's able to draw. Your RSF 17 right here. The Mythic Ball, right? Foggy Crystal Ball right here, really good stuff. So for Cassius' case, I think the best dungeon to farm will be Lab 0. Because Lab 0 gives you a really huge save data range. So you're able to slot in more support cards and delete the more unimportant cards in this deck, because if you guys scroll through all the top 100, which I'm not going to do right here, a lot of people will have removed the basic cards of Cassius. So if you remove the 3 basic cards, the heal as well as the 2 attack cards, assuming you have the mutated sample, removing 2 of those cards is already 50 points. So you want to have as much frame memory points as possible so that you're able to slot in other cards into your deck. And one more thing you might have realized by now is that this deck is not very duplicate heavy. So the duplicate problem of Lab 0 is not a massive problem for Cassius when you're farming there, because you just need to get the correct epiphanies as well as the equipments for him to work. So lap 0 is the easiest to reset multiple times if you don't get the correct epiphanies compared to the 0 system. So this is where lap 0 is the best dungeon to farm. So that's for Cassius. Now Selena and Sereniel, they are a pair for this boss fight because Sereniel has the most amped up kit against the boss, so she does a lot of damage there with her lasers, with her pale shooting star, with the cobalt light. And the ability for her to break easily, when you combine it with Selena's tactical maneuver upgrade right here, allows you to ravage the boss multiple times. So for Selena's case, you want to look out for this upgrade for tactical maneuver, and then you want to duplicate this multiple times so that you're able to ravage the boss multiple times in one turn. So for the boss fight, because counterfeit will get reduced cost whenever you ravage the boss, you can actually use it as a draw for your team to draw into your combo pieces every single turn. So for Selena's case, you want to duplicate your tactical maneuver. You want to look out for all the different upgrades that buff up follow-up damage or mark damage as you are fighting in the whole fight itself. So this is where the most important one will be this card. And then for the equipment side, so far, second method seems to be the best because she's gonna do a lot of extra attacks off the kit. So second method, boosting extra attack damage, allows her to be a much better secondary DPS. So for the other equipments, I think any equipments that can buff up your DPS is a good one for Selena. So you also might want to look out for the Psionic Combat Suit for Selena in the defensive role so that you have more additional survival whenever you exhaust a card. So that's with regards to the field equipments as well as the thing to look out for. So for Selena's case, tactical maneuver duplicate. So for the top player, there's actually this negotiate skill right here, which I think is interesting because it boosts up the morale of your team, and the morale is a permanent boost. So it's actually a really good boost throughout the whole fight, and I haven't tested it yet, but I do think that it is actually really busted here. So I'll be reporting more once I'm able to farm up a deck with negotiate, but this is something to look out for the Selena semi-DPS support build. Now for Sereniel's case, there's just a lot of builds that can work, right? You can duplicate homing lasers, you can duplicate shining cores, and then you can duplicate pale shooting star, and they just do a lot of damage because her whole kit is just so synergistic and so powerful. So far I won't say that there's a most powerful build specifically for the boss fight, but I think you have to cater your Sereniel's build to Selena as well as Cassius, because depending on what you're lacking in the other units, you can make up for the missing cards in your Serena deck. So that's with regards to this unit. So lap 0 will still be the best because like I mentioned before, for this unit, no matter which card you duplicate is actually pretty useful for Sereniel. So you can duplicate homing laser, you can duplicate shining core if it's not the unique initiation one, or even pale shooting star. So duplicating is not a major problem there. And it's also the easiest dungeon to farm for Foggy Crystal Ball, which is an insanely good card for Sereniel for the laser boost. So that's why, like similar to Cassius, these two units goes to lap 0. So I actually went to scroll through some of the other rankings for Selena, and I realized that there's actually a lot of people who went to lap 0 to farm because these are all the seasonal equipments. And I think this can be attributed to the inclusion of Sereniel, as well as the existence of Veronica and Mika having a lot of unique tags. So this unique tag allows you to duplicate your cards more easily. So lap 0 is actually the better dungeon for all the offensive equipment so that you're able to run Selena as a secondary DPS. So I guess for Selena's case, lap 0 will still be the go-to as well, because it's a lot easier to duplicate tactical maneuver and you get better offensive equipments more easily with more faint memory data. So for those of you guys who are interested to find out how to optimize your farm or your deck building for lap 0, let me know down in the comment section below. If not, I'll be showcasing my own Sereniel, Selena and Cassius build in the next few days once I have Selena farmed up. That's it for this video. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.